Douglas is a factory worker in a post-nuclear Holocaust world.
Are you actually happy with how your life's turned out?
Who gets everything they fantasize about, right?
But when he goes to get memories implanted as part of a virtual vacation,
Happy trails, man.
something goes very wrong.
What is it? What's wrong?
Branded as a spy, Douglas runs for his life in Total Recall.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Leah.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Greg, and we're here to talk about Total Recall. We've all just seen it.
I love Total Recall. I think it's one of Schwarzenegger's very best films. Paul Verhoeven.
Bad news.
Yeah.
That's not the movie. This movie is actually a remake of that movie.
I think I'd go to the mats on whether this is a remake of that movie.
Both are ostensibly based on a Philip K. Dick short story called We Can Remember It For You Wholesale.
Right.
Which neither of them follows at all. This movie, I didn't see the original Total Recall, but seems to follow it more than the short story.
Yeah, I mean, the original Total Recall borrows heavily from the Philip K. Dick short story. And central to that is this notion of memory and its elusiveness and how we rely on memory to shape our identity and how we use it to kind of record our existence. And it was really important in the 1990 version of this film, as was location.
Well, if you've seen the 1990 picture, there are certain elements of this that are very reminiscent of that movie. The major difference is we never go to Mars. Instead, we have a setup where the world is pretty much uninhabitable except for most of Western Europe and Australia. Why do you have a great location like Mars that you don't use?
What we're left with, instead of having a really kind of meditative, thoughtful story about memory and power and, you know, who we are, we're left with a bunch of fight scenes, a bunch of chases, and a bunch of action sequences that are basically working to advance the story, of which there's very little of.
It honestly feels like this movie was written by 60 people in some giant committee where everybody raised their hand and threw out one cool idea, and they're like, oh yeah, that's good, we're putting that in there.
Yeah.
You might want to give your little girlfriend a kiss goodbye. As long as she doesn't mind where those lips have been.
The problem with this version of Total Recall is I think that they have way too much going on, and they're trying to cram it all in up front and front load all of that information so they can just drop you into this world. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, it's incoherent, and it's clear that they're way more focused on the background than the characters running around.
You mean like the physical world?
In every sense.
Because they use it all for action set pieces, which is what they're really interested in doing anyway. I did like the first 45 minutes of the movie, which is basically the section of the movie closest to the original, the 1990 movie. I just felt like it ran out of steam toward the second half of the movie, basically right when I noticed that they didn't go to Mars. I did like the setup. I liked Colin Farrell, too. I thought he was pretty good. Again, it's all in the setup, though. I think after that, it basically just gets swallowed up by action.
And it's made even worse by the fact that Colin Farrell has no clue who he is, so he's always, like, confused when he's punching people. He doesn't know why he's doing it. He doesn't know why he's running, where he's going.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like that sort of worked in The Bourne Identity, for example, but there was so much humanity that Matt Damon put into that role. Colin Farrell plays it so straight, I feel, and so bland and sterile.
I liked the setup, too. I liked Colin Farrell. I liked Kate Beckinsale. I thought she looked so cute with all of her hair bouncing and behaving. Even as she's racing through the rooftop of wherever we are, her hair is always perfect.
Yeah.
But it seems like that by having her do a lot of the physical stunts and fight sequences, I love the fact that we have female action going on in this movie. I think that that's probably, for me, one of the best elements of the film. But then it goes on too long.
She basically is a combination of Sharon Stone and Michael Ironside's role from the original 1990 picture, and she's on screen too long, basically, because she doesn't give the real villain, played by Bryan Cranston, any room to do anything. I mean,
both of them become kind of one note.
Yeah, I mean, Bryan Cranston seems like he's barely on screen here. It's like, oh, he seems like he's got an interesting role. We could really see more of him, and they don't give him enough time.
I'm 15 minutes behind him.
No lethal force. I want him alive. Do you understand?
Who the hell is this guy, sir?
Take me off display.
I don't understand why any of the bad guys are doing anything that they're doing other than maybe they're just, like, evil people.
Right.
Yeah, that's part of the problem of this story, is that they paint people as cartoons.
For a science fiction film about the mind, Total Recall is hilariously mindless. Skip it.
I feel like that there's some spectacle going on here, and I'm also a fan of female action, so with that, I'm going to say stream it.
I think if you like the original, you can check out the setup of this one. It's mildly entertaining, just know it doesn't live up to the 1990 version. Stream it.
Our votes add up to 1 ticket for Total Recall, which is a stream it. Cheers.
Wait, did we review this, or was this an implanted memory?
Well, Keanu plays confusion great. He would have been great for this.
I love Total Recall. I think it's one of Schwarzenegger's very best films.